Well, I know y'all can't really see that. 82 degrees out, so it's 10:23 a.m. .82. The heat index feels like it's 99, so it's pretty hot out here. So I was kind of out here. My grandfather's like, "Hey, let's take the Cub out. Like, you want to drive it around a little bit?" So I thought that I'd do that. Got a pill jar here that covered up the exhaust pipe since it rained a little bit yesterday. So I'll just set this aside. And we put another battery in it. This was just the battery that just came out of the Husky lawn tractor. And we put a brand new battery in the lawn tractor. That other battery that was in this tractor, apparently it wouldn't hold up a charge. And when I did that video on starting it, it barely actually turned the engine over, and at least it actually did start. There is a hand crank for this tractor. I have hand cranked this tractor before. A lot easier to hand crank than the F20. And so, let's see if the fuel valve is on. I don't know if it is. Yeah, this one's on. I don't believe the carburetor on this one does not leak. I know the carburetor on some of the other tractors do leak a little bit, so let me put this in the barn and we'll go for another ride on the Cub. Alright, let's fire it up. Give you guys a cold start since I didn't really quite give y'all a starting video yesterday because apparently my grandfather had already started it before I had the camera out. Well, I got sort of a wet ass. That's alright. Alright, so let's give it a little bit of throttle. That should be good enough. Pull that switch out to turn it on. Definitely don't need no choke. This lever here is for the starter. So just pull it. Now let's see what she does. Come on. There we go. Cool. Alright. There we go. A little bit stiff though. A little bit cooler out today, but not by much. The wheels are feeling a little bit. Must be a little bit wet from the rain. Cool. Well, I think we've done enough joyriding for today. Usually, I would probably would keep on going if it wasn't too hot out. I think one time, if I can remember correctly, I don't know on what tractor I was on. I actually drove out here. I think the longest was about, I think the longest that I had drove around here with one of the tractors was probably about maybe probably 30 minutes or so. So yeah. All right, so I'm gonna park the tractor over in the shade, probably right beside the carport. And that leaves me there. Spectator. That's my grandfather. He just loves watching me. Park and ride over here. Just keep it in the shade. Keep it out of the sun. That should be good. Oh yeah. We're actually coasting here. You know what, I think I better leave it in gear. Alright, let's shut her down. Cool. And I believe the Farmall Cubs, I think these were the longest production tractors that International Harvester has made. So they started them in 1947. This particular one here is a 48. And I think International stopped making these tractors, I think, all the way through the 70s. They made two types of Cubs. Of course, just a typical Cub like you see here. And they made a smaller one called the Cub Lowboy, which I think they used at the exact same engines, but it was just a whole lot smaller. So yeah, as I might have said before, my grandfather first got the tractor itself was not in bad shape, but the motor was seized. So I think what my grandfather did, had the head off, soaked up the cylinders with a WD-40, and with a little help from my brother and I, we rocked the tractor back and forth while the tractor was actually in gear, just to try to help unseize the motor. And I think one time, with just my grandfather, because my brother and I were not around, we were in school, my grandfather actually did eventually got the motor unseized and got it running. She does smoke a little bit. I think it does seem to burn a little bit of oil. It used to smoke a lot worse than it does now, but it runs excellent. Now if y'all are wondering about with the Cub Cadet lawn tractors, see, that's how they got the name Cub Cadet, named it after the Farmall Cub. Just if y'all are wondering. So cool. So I hope y'all enjoyed the video. So thanks for watching.